Hello, and thanks for joining us for Prepped and Polished Education and Inspiration. I'm your host, Alexis Avila, educator, online entrepreneur, and founder of tutoring and test prep firm Prepped and Polished, broadcasting today from South Natick, Massachusetts. Prepped and Polished Education and Inspiration is your destination for groundbreaking insight from today's most influential educators, leaders, and minds on the planet. Our show is brought to you today by Mommy to 5K program. My friend Jill of L3 Fitness has a terrific and affordable 12-week course for moms looking to get back into shape. So learn more about that. Please visit www.l3fitness.com/m25k and get to know the Prepped and Polished community. You can find us on Facebook at Prepped and Polished, as well as on Twitter at Prepped Polished. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. We're grateful to have Monica Matthews on our show. She's going to share with us the amazing work she does helping teenagers and parents win college scholarship money. And to our listeners, you can submit a question at any time, radio@preppedandpolished.com. We always appreciate hearing from you. Monica, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Alexis. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So you're in Michigan, and I grew up there. So how's the weather today?
It's cold and dreary, so next subject.
Okay, next subject. You got it.
It's supposed to be nice in about a week, they say.
Okay, perfect. I'm sure the summers will be hot, though.
I hope so.
So Monica, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, background. Well, I used to teach elementary school, and then when I had kids, I kind of stayed home and did some subbing. Pretty much a stay-at-home mom. Kind of with education, though, always in the background, subbing and researching, and I never really got away from education. I have 3 kids. One graduated from the University of Michigan a year ago, and one is a freshman at Central Michigan University, and I also have a 12-year-old 7th grader still at home.
Wow. Okay, great. Now, let's go back just a little bit because we have a lot of teenagers on our show, just so they can identify with you. But what were you like as a teen?
What was I like as a teen? I haven't been asked that one in a while. I was pretty quiet and pretty studious. I actually went to an all-girls high school, but school was always stressed in my family and very important. I ended up going to a small private college. Absolutely loved it, but so far I haven't been able to convince my own kids to follow my direction and go in my alma mater. They're both at very big colleges, but it's working for them. So
perfect.
That's how I was.
And who were your influences growing up?
Oh, my parents, my grandparents, my church. That's an easy one.
Excellent. And I know that you grew up in California, went to school, did some master's work. Mm-hmm. In California as well as a reading specialist. Why Michigan?
Well, my husband had been transferred out there. He's from Michigan.
Okay.
So we met, got married, had our first son, and then decided to move back to Michigan so he could join his family's business. And I love it here. I did love California, but I also know I wanted to stay home to raise my kids, and that's a lot harder to do in California. We live way out in the country now here in Michigan, and I absolutely love it. So we visit a lot. I go home to California a lot, as often as I can.
Awesome. Now, I recently read your book. It's How to Win College Scholarships, and it's available on Amazon. And I loved it. I loved it because it was plain spoken, relatable, very detailed, what to do. Can you first tell us about what motivated you to write this book?
Sure, and thank you for the compliments. They do really mean a lot to me. I appreciate that. Well, when my oldest son was a senior in high school and started looking at colleges, the first school he wanted to go to, or in his mind, was MIT. And I started looking at how much it would cost, and it was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do that? I did not want to go back to work full time and leave my other kids that were at home. So I just started researching. Well, let me back up just a little bit. He did apply for a few scholarships early in his senior year of high school and didn't win. And I'm thinking, why didn't he win? He's very smart, had a high ACT score. why isn't he winning these scholarships? And so I just decided to pretty much dedicate my life to how do you set a scholarship application apart? What should he do? How should he write an essay? What can he do to make himself different from all the other smart kids out there, middle income, same sort of background? And so I kind of developed a system of steps of this is what I would do to help him, and this is what he would do, organization. It was just a system. We worked together on every scholarship application, and then he just kept winning and winning and winning, and he won so much scholarship money. I mean, we turned down grants from the school. We turned down this and that because he didn't need that money. So he graduated last spring 100% debt-free, which is just amazing in this day and age. And so anyways, how I got to write his book was I had people telling me, how did you do that? We have no idea where to start. You should write this down so other parents could do what you did or at least know how to start the scholarship process. And so I started thinking maybe I should do that. So after he graduated from high school and was all set, I thought, let me just write it down. So I wrote it down, published it on Amazon. It's also on my website, howtowinscholarships.com. And that's my story. That's where I'm at. So I didn't really set out planning to do this, but it's almost become almost like a commitment to me because now I love helping parents. I love when they call me and ask questions, email me. It's just something that I do now, and I just get a lot of joy out of helping people with the process.
You break the winning college scholarship money game into about 10 steps. And we're not going to have time to go over each step, but can you tell us just a few of these steps that kind of stick out in your mind that could help people find scholarship money?
Okay, well, the first one is definitely to get organized.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of records, a lot of essays that students write that they could potentially use again for a different scholarship, maybe just change the word count, depending on the scholarship prompt. If you're organized, and you've applied for 30 scholarships, and then you come across another one that it's the same question that's asked again, if you can go ahead and find that application that you already have for another scholarship, pull it out, use the same information. I mean, this is something that a parent could do while their high school senior or their student is busy with sports and AP classes and everything else that high school kids are into right now, and do a lot of the work for them. Then you're going to be that much farther ahead of the game, and you can apply for that many more scholarships. So getting organized is one of my steps, and I do really go into detail about how to get organized, what to do, what to buy, which isn't a whole lot of money. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit old-fashioned where I'm talking about, paper folders and a file box, that kind of thing. The computers are great, but you can also lose a lot of information on a computer. Making hard copies of every application and every single thing that you've submitted to a scholarship. That kind of thing.
Definitely. I mean, there's just so much that runs through my mind listening to you because, I mean, I have a cousin in Connecticut, and she has 2 kids coming up, and she's just absolutely overwhelmed by the cost of college today. And I'm like, listen, you got to listen to this episode. I'm gonna put out there with Monica. I mean, what you're doing is you're saving people hundreds of thousands of dollars, over the course of college. So why not go for scholarships?
Right. And, a lot of people also need to know that even freshmen in college, a lot of kids get a lot of scholarships or whatever their senior year in high school. But then once you're in college, well, then you need to tap into all the new scholarships that are then available to those students from their majors, from their professors might know about one. I mean, it's a whole different world opens up. It's not just for high school seniors only, which is another assumption. And that's another thing with scholarships. You have to get rid of all the assumptions out there. If I make too much money to win a scholarship, I'm not smart enough. All those assumptions, there are lots of ways around getting, how to make your application. I really go into that too, is how to set your application apart to make it feel different, look different. So right away, the judges can say, hey, you know what, this person took so much extra time on this application, I need to take a second look. And that's a big part of what I talk about in my scholarship guide is how to make your application different. Everybody starts with the same application, everybody. But it's how you set yours up and turn it in. And I just wrote an article about how online scholarships, how to set your online scholarship apart also, because so many are going to online only instead of mailing it to the scholarship organization.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, everything's going online. In your book, you mentioned how it's important to befriend the high school guidance counselor. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, sure. If students, go in there the last few weeks of senior year and they've already been accepted to a college and say, hey, do you have any scholarships for me? I mean, a guidance counselor is just kind of going to look at them and just say, you know what, where were you the very first few weeks of school? Versus that student who goes in once a week and say, are there any more scholarships, anything new? Let me take a look at the bulletin board, the files, wherever they keep the scholarships. Because that student who goes in often will be on the mind of a guidance counselor when a new scholarship comes across their desk. And they, will look forward to that student and say, hey, you know what, we just got this one, try this one, apply for this one. So guidance counselors are just an untapped wealth of information. They have so many students assigned to them. They're not going to seek out specific students. They're not going to hold meetings once a week telling the students, look, you need to apply for scholarships, this is what you need to do. But they do have all the information available. It's up to the students to go in, become familiar with that guidance counselor, even parents. I mean, I was emailing the guidance counselor. There was one time during Easter break where, I can't even remember what happened. We needed something. But because I'd been emailing with her, she was able to do something for me over spring break for my son that I know she wouldn't have done if we hadn't have become practically friends. And my son, she was very familiar with my son and saw his dedication and commitment to wanting to help pay for school. So that's what I meant by that is, if they know your name, you're going to have just one more chance of finding even more scholarships.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. When I was finishing reading your book, towards the end, one of those last steps was it's just important. Like, just any opportunity you can get to stand yourself out, take advantage of it. So I remember reading something to the effect of you just leaving no stone unturned, and even like the letterhead was different. Unique. The folder, you put like the scholarships in a nice folder, and then even the envelope, you embellish that a bit. And when I read that, I was just like, you were down to the detail. Like, you didn't leave any stone unturned. Is that what you kind of have to do to set yourself?
I do believe you do, because there are a lot of smart kids out there. There are a lot of kids who get high test scores. How can you set yourself apart? It has to. All these little details really do add up. I do remember, I'll never forget, we did have a scholarship judge, and I don't know why they called, but I remember him saying, your son's application was so different than any other application that we've seen. And that's kind of when I thought, I have something here. I can help other people. I have this method of helping kids. And so I think that's important anyway. I mean, it's like scholarship essays. Start off with something strong and bold and different instead of, I need the scholarship money because. How many kids do that? Probably 90% of them.
Absolutely.
So I do think that winning scholarships is a lot of how you present yourself, and kids should not be afraid to, brag maybe is the wrong word, but be proud of all their accomplishments and share them everywhere you can on a scholarship application.
I hear you. Now, your son, who went to Michigan, he was studying engineering. He won over $100,000 in college scholarship money. Now, can any kid win $100,000 worth of scholarship money, or are we looking at, like, if you push yourself hard, you have a chance to win tens of thousands? Or do you?
I never want to guarantee. On my
Sure.
website, I guarantee that my scholarship guide will make the process easier for you. But I would never guarantee that you're going to win $100,000 in scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. But it makes the process understandable. It takes away the fear. There is a lot of money out there, and especially local scholarships. My son, we work together well, and let me tell you, son number 2, who's a freshman in college right now, he's a totally different kind of student. He's at $27,000 right now, and he's only a freshman. We were good the first year, so he did his best, but it was kind of like pulling teeth. So I did my best as a mom, and we worked together. But who knows? I mean, the sky's the limit with scholarships. There's so many out there. Why not apply for them? And if you know how to do it and you know a method that will work, try. Why not try?
When you say $27,000, is that how much he won?
That's how much he won over 4 years. He won a $10,000, spread over 4 years, another $10,000 over 4 years, and then he won $7,000 in other different scholarships. So,
wow.
That was a work in progress.
I mean, that is, to me, that is a staggering number still. I mean, just amazing that the money's out there. It's just incredible. And it doesn't seem like parents know that for some reason. Like all they think about is grants and college discounts and this and that. But
right, or they just think, if I file my FAFSA, I'll get state aid money, and that doesn't always happen. Especially now, I've seen a big difference between 5 years ago when we were applying for my oldest son, and just last year when we applied again for my next son. I don't think there's as much government money out there. I think that they've lowered the income or raised the income requirements. It just doesn't seem like there's as much money out there, free money out there, that's just going to be handed to the kids. So you need to work to find it.
Definitely. Now, this might be an obvious answer to this question, but what is a surefire way to lose a college scholarship competition? And what mistakes do you find that families often make?
Let's see, grammar, spelling, leaving out parts of the application. I mean, the first 30 seconds that a judge looks at the scholarship application is the most important. So what they're looking for clean writing, typing, if at all possible. Every application should be typed, legible. Everything that's needed to be there is there in the proper order. So missing a late deadline, thinking, it'll probably get there on time. A day late and you're done.
Right.
Judges, they have so many applications to look at that really they're looking first for who's not going to win, because it's easier for them to say this person, nope, they don't have this, they're not eligible, or they did this, they were late, put it in this pile over here, and then the pile of possible winners are the ones they're going to look at more carefully and go through and try to make a decision.
Wow, that's great advice. Well, how can we find you, Monica, work with you? Please plug yourself.
Okay, my website is howtoWinScholarships.com, and it's a number 2. So howtoWinScholarships.com. You can find me on Twitter. I'm AID Scholarship, AID. I hold Twitter chats and different things. I'm constantly on there. There's a great Twitter chat on Thursday nights called College Cash. There's another one on Wednesday night called Campus Chat. That's another great one. I'm also the quote-unquote scholarship mom for smartcollegevisit.com, and they publish my tips weekly. You can also just Google Monica Matthews Scholarships, and I'm sure you'll find me. I have lots of articles that I've written for Examiner.com and different things. So, yeah, go to my website. I mean, just come there. I have lots of scholarship tips, lots of free things on there. I totally encourage everybody to purchase my scholarship guide, but of course you don't have to. But,
right.
Just guidance. People need guidance. And I'm a reader, and a lot of moms out there just want to do whatever they can to help their kids. Start early, but if you're panicking and your son or daughter is going to be a senior next year, start now. Start right where you are. That's another piece of advice that I don't like people just to say, it's too late. Start right where you are. I mean, even now, if your high school senior is graduating and you realize that you don't have enough money, look online right now. There are scholarships that you could apply for with summer due dates. Start right where you are, and don't be afraid.
And, I read the book, and you delineate all the ways you can find these scholarships. I mean, you list the websites, and you really break it down to the details. So it's really helpful to see where we go to find these scholarships. The takeaway I got from this book was, is this really $10? I mean, unbelievable, the amount of advice you put in there for what you get. So thank you so much. And thank you. We appreciate you coming on today.
You're welcome. It was great. I love just sharing this knowledge. It's just all in my head. So sometimes I can just let it out. So
perfect. Just go. Let it go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this wraps up our show today with Monica Matthews, educator and founder of howtoWinScholarships.com. To learn more about Monica, download her book and enroll into one of her incredible programs. And I'm going to spell the website out. It's howtoWinScholarships.com. How, the number 2, winscholarships.com. Thank you for joining us on Prepped and Polished Education and Inspiration.